Good morning, Virgo. Someone's heart might be breaking under the weight of what they need to say to you, and simple sorry won't even begin to cover it. What I'm sensing right now is profound emotional reckoning in someone who's finally understanding the magnitude of what they walked away from, what they damaged, what they lost through their choices. There's a possibility that this person is experiencing a level of regret so deep that it's fundamentally changing how they see themselves, their patterns, and what actually matters in this life. And what they might be preparing to express to you could go far beyond asking for forgiveness. This might be about someone recognizing that you represented something irreplaceable and their entire being is screaming at them to make this right before it's permanently too late. If you've been feeling waves of emotional energy that don't seem to be coming from you, if you've been thinking about someone intensely without knowing why, if you've been sensing that something significant is building in the invisible space between you and another soul, this might be exactly what you're picking up on. Let me walk you through what I'm sensing because this energy feels heavy, sacred, and like it's carrying the weight of genuine soul recognition. There's a strong possibility that someone is having a complete breakdown of their defenses around you. Every wall they built, every justification they created for walking away, every story they told themselves about why it couldn't work, all of that might be crumbling as they're forced to confront the truth they've been avoiding. And the truth might be devastating for them to admit that they made the biggest mistake of their life, that they let fear control them when they should have chosen love, that they walked away from the one person who actually saw them, understood them, matched them in ways they'll never find again. What I'm picking up on is that this isn't just about missing you or wanting you back. This feels like someone confronting the reality that they damaged something sacred, that they hurt someone whose soul was trying to connect with theirs, that they rejected a gift the universe was offering them because they weren't ready to receive it. And that realization might be breaking them open in ways they've never experienced before. This person could be going through what feels like a spiritual crisis, a dark night of the soul where everything they thought they wanted, everything they thought mattered, suddenly feels hollow and meaningless without you in it, where success, other relationships, distractions, achievements, none of it fills the void that losing you created. Drop a heart if you've felt someone's energy reaching for you across distance and time. Now, let me talk about what might be happening inside this person that goes beyond a simple apology. They might be experiencing waves of grief that catch them off guard, breaking down in private moments when memories of you surface, crying in ways they haven't cried in years or maybe ever, feeling the full weight of loss in their body in a way that can't be intellectualized or rationalized away. What I'm sensing is deep remorse. Not just, I'm sorry I hurt you, but I'm horrified by who I became in that situation. I'm devastated by the pain I caused someone I genuinely loved. I can't believe I was capable of treating you that way. This might be the first time they're truly taking accountability without defensiveness, without excuses, without trying to make themselves feel better by minimizing what they did. They might be sitting with the full uncomfortable truth of their actions and letting it completely humble them. There's a possibility they're also experiencing radical clarity about patterns they've been repeating, seeing how they've sabotaged connection throughout their life, recognizing the fear-based programming that's been running their choices. Understanding finally why they keep ending up alone despite wanting love. And you might be the person who's forcing them to see all of this, not because you're doing anything, but because losing you is the consequence that finally broke through their denial. You're the mirror that's showing them what they've been running from. You're the soul connection that's making everything else feel like a poor substitute. What I'm picking up on most strongly is that this person might be changing at a fundamental level. Not just promising to change or wanting to change, but actually being transformed by the pain of losing you. Like their soul is using this loss as a catalyst for evolution they've needed for a long time. And what they want to say to you might reflect that transformation. It might be the most honest, vulnerable, accountable thing they've ever expressed to anyone. Comment transformation if you sense someone is being changed by the experience of losing you. Let me talk about what this communication might actually contain when it comes, because this feels like it could be building toward expression. They might start by acknowledging the full scope of the damage, not just, I hurt you, but specific recognition of exactly how their actions affected you, how their inconsistency made you question your worth, how their inability to commit made you feel unwanted, how their fear made you feel like you were too much or not enough, how their walking away made you feel abandoned. They might take complete responsibility without any but statements. Not, I'm sorry, but I was going through something, or I'm sorry, but you also. Just full ownership of their choices and their impact. They could express understanding of why you might not want to hear from them, why you might have moved on, why you might never be able to trust them again. They might acknowledge that they don't deserve another chance and that they're not entitled to your forgiveness or your presence. And then they might tell you what you actually meant to them, not in vague terms, but specifically. How you saw parts of them no one else has seen, how you made them feel safe in ways they've never felt safe, how being with you was the closest they've ever come to feeling home, how losing you showed them what actually matters and what they've been wasting their life chasing. They might admit their regret in raw terms. Walking away from you was the biggest mistake I've ever made. I think about you every single day. Nothing has felt right since you've been gone. I would give anything to go back and choose differently. And they might express what they want, not as a demand, but as a vulnerable confession. I don't know if it's possible, but I want to try again. I want the chance to show you who I've become. I want to build something real with you if you're willing. I need you to know that you're the one I want, and I'm finally ready to prove it. What I'm sensing is that this communication, if it comes, might be the most emotionally raw thing you've ever received from this person. It might feel completely different from how they've communicated before. Less guarded, less controlled, less concerned with protecting their ego, and more concerned with telling the truth. Now, let me talk about the soulmate and twin flame energy I'm picking up on, because this feels significant. There's a possibility that you and this person share a soul connection that goes deeper than typical relationships. That there's recognition between you that can't be fully explained by logic or compatibility checklists. That being together feels like remembering something rather than discovering something new. What I'm sensing is that this person might be finally understanding that They might have tried to dismiss what they felt with you as just chemistry or infatuation or timing, but distance and time apart might be showing them that what you shared was actually rare, that the connection wasn't just strong, it was meant to teach them something essential about love, about themselves, about what their soul came here to experience. And that recognition might be why this goes beyond apology, because they're not just sorry for hurting you in this lifetime. They might be feeling like they failed a cosmic assignment, like they were given something precious and they mishandled it, like their soul is mourning a connection it waited lifetimes to experience. This doesn't mean you're obligated to receive them back just because the connection is deep. Soul connections can be about lessons, not necessarily about forever partnerships. Sometimes souls come together to catalyze growth in each other, and that growth happens through the pain of separation, not through staying together. But what it does mean is that what they're feeling might be profound enough that it genuinely transforms them. That this isn't just someone who misses you casually. This might be someone whose entire spiritual trajectory is being altered by the experience of losing you. Drop a if you felt that this connection was deeper than ordinary love. Now, let me talk about what you might be feeling as you sense this energy building, because your experience matters just as much as theirs. Part of you might feel vindicated, like finally they see what they had, finally they understand what they lost, finally you're getting the recognition and value you deserved all along. Another part of you might feel scared, because if they come back with this level of emotional intensity, you'll have to make difficult decisions. You'll have to decide if transformation is enough. If you can trust them, again, if you're willing to risk being hurt by the same person who already broke you once, you might also feel conflicted because maybe you still love them. Maybe you've been hoping for exactly this. Maybe the idea of them finally being ready feels like the answer to prayers you've been too afraid to speak out loud. Or you might feel protective of yourself, like you've done so much healing since they left and you're not willing to let them undo that progress. Like you've built a life without them and you're not sure you want to make space for them in it again. Like the timing is off because you've moved forward and they're trying to pull you backward. All of these feelings can exist simultaneously. You don't have to have one clear emotional response. You can love them and not trust them. You can want them and know they're not good for you. You can appreciate their growth and still choose not to go back. What I'm picking up on is that this situation is inviting you to get radically honest with yourself about what you actually want, not what would be romantic, not what would validate the pain you went through, not what would prove you were right about the connection, but what would actually serve your highest good and your long-term happiness. Comment clarity if you're committed to choosing what's actually best for you, not just what feels good emotionally. Let me talk about what reuniting with this person might actually require if you choose to explore that possibility. It would require them to do more than just express beautiful sentiments. They would need to demonstrate through consistent action over an extended period that they've actually changed, that they're capable of showing up differently, that the transformation is real and sustainable, not just temporary emotional intensity that fades once they feel secure again. You would need to see evidence of therapy, self work, pattern interruption. You would need to witness them handling difficulty, stress, and fear differently than they did before. You would need to observe them setting and maintaining healthy boundaries in other areas of their life. They would need to be patient with your healing process to understand that you might need to move slowly, that you might have walls up that take time to come down, that you might need reassurance and proof repeatedly before you can fully trust again. And you would need to be honest about whether you can actually forgive them. Not just say you forgive them, but genuinely release the resentment and hurt so it doesn't poison any attempt at rebuilding. Because reuniting while still holding on to pain creates a toxic foundation that won't support real intimacy. What I'm sensing is that if this is meant to work, it won't be a simple getting back together. It would be a complete reconstruction of the relationship from the ground up, with new agreements, new communication patterns, new levels of honesty and vulnerability that you didn't have before. And that's hard work. Beautiful work if both people are committed, but hard nonetheless. So you need to ask yourself honestly, are you willing to do that work with this person? Do you believe they're capable of meeting you in that level of commitment? Is there enough foundation of good between you to build on, or was the damage too extensive? There are no wrong answers, only honest ones. Let me also address the possibility that this deep emotional reckoning they're experiencing might not actually lead to them reaching out. Sometimes people feel everything I've described and still don't act on it. They might be paralyzed by shame, by fear of rejection, by belief that they've burned the bridge too thoroughly. They might go through this entire transformation internally without ever communicating it to you. And if that happens, you might only ever feel the energy of it. You might sense that something shifted in them without ever receiving direct confirmation. You might know in your bones that they're thinking of you, that they regret their choices, that they wish things were different, but you might never get the apology or the conversation or the attempt at reconnection. And that would require you to find closure without their participation, to release the connection without their acknowledgement of what it meant, to move forward without the validation of them finally seeing what they lost. That's harder. But it might also be what your soul needs. Because sometimes the lesson is learning to value yourself independent of whether anyone else recognizes your value. Sometimes the growth is in releasing people who can't show up properly even when they desperately want to. What I'm sensing is that whether they reach out or not, this experience has been teaching you something essential about your worth, about what you will and won't accept, about the difference between potential and reality, about loving someone and still choosing yourself. And those lessons are yours to keep regardless of what this person does or doesn't do. Drop A if you're learning to find peace, regardless of what others choose. Now, as we move toward closing, I want to talk about what you deserve in all of this. You deserve someone who doesn't need to lose you to appreciate you, someone who sees your value while they have you and treats you accordingly, someone who doesn't put you through unnecessary pain because they're too scared to choose love when it's being offered. You deserve someone who's done their work before they come to you, not someone who expects you to be patient while they figure out basic emotional availability. Someone who shows up ready, not someone who needs you to wait indefinitely while they grow up. You deserve clear, consistent communication, actions that match words, love that doesn't make you question your worth or your sanity, partnership that feels like home, not like a battlefield. And if this person can't provide that, even after all their emotional reckoning and transformation, then they're still not right for you, no matter how deep the soul connection feels, no matter how much they've grown, no matter how sorry they are, because you don't exist to be someone's catalyst for growth and then reward them with your presence once they finally evolve. You're not a prize they get for doing the internal work they should have done before they met you. You're a whole human being worthy of love that doesn't require you to suffer first. What I'm sensing most strongly is that this situation, whatever form it takes, is ultimately about you reclaiming your power, about you deciding what you're available for based on your standards, not based on someone else's readiness or regret. May you trust your own knowing above anyone else's words. May you require proof through action, not just beautiful promises. May you choose yourself fiercely, even when love is calling you to stay small. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and remember that the deepest love, the truest soul connection, is the one you have with yourself. Everything else is secondary. Stay grounded, stay sovereign, stay true to what you know you deserve, and trust that if this person is truly meant to be in your life, they'll prove it through sustained effort and changed behavior, not just through emotional confessions when they've realized what they lost. You are the gift. Never forget that. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.